The Fortune Teller. Paula Peterson was walking through the rain late one evening in a strange part of town. Across the street, she saw a lit neon sign. It said, "Psychic Readings," and featured a large glowing question mark with a moon and stars around it.
It would be nice to get out of the rain,
she thought.
Besides, I've never been to a fortune teller before. It might be fun.
Covering her head, her coat collar pulled high, the young woman dashed through the puddles to the entrance. Once inside, Paula found herself in an exotic candle-lit room. Incense perfumed the air, and sparkles danced in the light. Through an open purple curtain, she saw an odd-looking man sitting at a round table. He had a long, crooked nose, dark eyes, and a pencil-thin mustache. He wore a puffy hat and some type of magician's cloak. Before him on the table was a crystal ball.
"Please sit down,"
said the man in a low, dramatic voice. Paula did, and there was a long pause. She felt awkward in this strange place. She finally spoke, breaking the silence.
I was wondering if perhaps you could read my future?
The man began to breathe heavily. He gazed into his crystal ball, then went into some kind of trance. After meditating upon the object for a time, he jolted upright in his chair and stared intensely at the woman.
"I see terrible things in your future, my dear."
Paula almost laughed out loud.
Terrible?
She didn't believe in any of this whatsoever, but she played along. It was all in good fun. The strange man asked,
"Do you have a pet at home, my dear? Cat or dog?"
I have a dog, a little Scottish terrier.
The man looked back into the crystal ball and waved his hands around.
The dog will run away and never be yours again."
Paula was not impressed by the statement.
I doubt it. He'd never do that. What else do you see?
The fortune teller pressed his fingertips to his temples and began to hum.
"I see fire, loss of property, complete ruin and distraction."
Paula frowned. If this phony fortune teller couldn't come up with something positive, maybe an inheritance from a relative or a new romance, she figured he wasn't very good at his job. She had come in looking for shelter and entertainment, but she didn't feel entertained at all. She stood up and began to leave.
"Where are you going?"
he asked.
"Surely you want to hear the most important prophecy of all."
Paula could not help but stop and listen. The man gazed back into the crystal ball. He was humming and moaning and waving his hands around like a crazy person. Then he stopped and spoke once more.
"I see the most terrible of all things, my dear. Terrible for you."
Paula was quite annoyed.
What now?
"I see death. I see murder. I see the killer. A rope around your neck. The strangler is coming. He's coming for you. Flee while you can."
Stop lying!
Paula cried. The fortune teller raised his hands into the air.
"No, my dear. Everything I say will come true. It always does."
With tears forming in her eyes, Paula turned and ran right out the door back into the rain. On the way home, she could almost swear someone was following her. The next morning, Paula expected to be awoken by her Scottish terrier, but when she got up, the little dog was nowhere to be found. The young woman walked all throughout the neighborhood, calling his name and asking neighbors if they had seen him, but there was no trace of the animal. Heading back, Paula noticed smoke coming from the area where she lived. She raced toward it only to discover her whole house engulfed in flames, her entire life burning before her eyes. Paula suddenly remembered what the fortune teller had told her. Everything he had said, it was all coming true. She heard fire engines coming down the street, but she couldn't stay there any longer. She knew that the last prophecy could come true at any moment. The Strangler was coming. Paula jumped in her car and sped back to the strange part of town. Maybe the fortune teller knew a way to stop all of this. She burst through the door of the little shop. The man was there behind the table. He appeared to be waiting for her.
You were right about me! You were right about everything!
Paula collapsed into the chair she had sat in the night before. It was all the same, only now she was hysterical. Now she believed.
Help me! My dog ran away! My house is on fire! It's burning to the ground! Please, you have to tell me how to stop this all from happening! You must have some kind of a talisman or a spell or something, anything that will stop the last prophecy from coming true! You have to save me from the killer. I don't want to die!
The man got up, walked around the table, and stood above the young woman. At that moment, she saw her little dog come running out from the back room. It jumped up and licked her face, then turned toward the fortune teller, growling and barking. Paula froze as she realized the man smelled strongly of gasoline.
My dear,
he said, now holding an old brown rope in his hands.
As I said before, everything I say will come true.
It always does.